Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Chase Files. Joining me this week is Miss Karina Goodridge. She is the president of Friends of Democracy and a practicing attorney at law. She is the owner of East Wind Legal with experience across civil law, litigation, estates, banking, and insurance. She is a frequent media commentator on youth development and national issues. As the Shadow Minister for National Security, Healthcare, Social Services, and Economic Affairs, I am pleased to have her as a featured guest. But first, it's time for Barbados in 60 Seconds. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising the public that cases of syphilis are increasing in Barbados. You are urged to protect your health. The U.S. has officially withdrawn from the World Health Organization, leaving the UN agency without one of its biggest donors. Minister of Foreign Affairs Carrie Simmons has dismissed the WhatsApp message claiming Barbados agreed to accept asylum seekers deported from the United States. 23 days before Barbadians head to the polling stations, the conservative Barbados Leadership Party, the United Progressive Party, and the New National Party have formed a coalition aimed at reshaping Barbados' economic direction. After 30 Democratic Labour Party candidates paid in their deposit to the Treasury, leader of the opposition Ralph Torn promised that if elected, they would pass anti-gang legislation and remove value-added tax while declaring their assets. The Friends of Democracy officially launched their election campaign at Sky Mall and are pleading with Barbadians to vote for an opposition. Nomination day is Tuesday, 27th of January, 2026. Until next time, I am Stephanie Chase, and this is Barbados in 60 Seconds. Hello, viewers. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Chase Files. Joining me this week is Miss Karina Goodridge, the president of Friends of Democracy and a practicing attorney at law. She is the owner of East Wind Legal with experience in civil law, litigation, estates, banking, and insurance. She is a frequent media commentator on topics of development and social issues. As the Shadow Minister for National Security, Healthcare, Social Services, and Economic Affairs, we are pleased to have her here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
You are most welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here on the show.
It's a pleasure. I think this is our first time actually being in the same space after you left school.
That's so true. And it's been too long, just too long.
I agree.
I have to say on camera that I'm so proud of you.
Oh, I am proud of you too. That's the truth.
Thank you so much.
Well, let's get straight into the meat of the matter. Before we do anything else, yes. I want you to tell us about the ideology behind Friends of Democracy.
Yes, well, we would say that we are more so social democratic, like the socialists, because as you know, that ideology states, we believe that the government really would control most of the essentials, and we strongly believe too that the government should provide for the citizens. And one of our beliefs also is that we plan to agitate and advocate for the development of the country through policy and programs for Barbados' development.
All right, okay. So I spent some time going through your manifesto.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that.
Yes. So you actually have it ready.
Yes.
And
yes,
I have to commend you on having some good initiatives and policies. And we're going to talk about some of them today. And one that stood out to me was the out-of-court maintenance system.
Okay.
Because very often we have, you know, the plight of single mothers.
Yes.
They, have issues with relations with the child father, is not doing what he's supposed to do. They end up in court. You get $35, $50 a week.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, and then there's a long wait. So tell me about this initiative.
Yes, it's interesting that you picked that one because that one is one that I actually came up with, and I know that I've heard about it before from other parties, but I've never really seen it implemented. And as an attorney going to court with women and representing them, I've recognized that sometimes there's a great turnaround, and also from the background, a lot of women feel frustrated that they actually have to go down to a court. Sometimes you wait long a whole morning, and then also people will see you there trying to get
So it's
child
it's
maintenance.
somewhat humiliating
Yes, to some people.
for some people.
And for some women, they're very proud because they believe, I'm going this morning and this is my right. So they feel good going to the court. But the thing is that if we could help that process, and instead of women have to go through the long wait, the long line, and having to fill out an application form in order to get maintenance, if we could provide that online service to kind of fast pace it and make it easier, both for the father and the mother, even if they have to come together and consent, that helps both individuals.
So you're banking on male and female, mother and father, being able to navigate this situation amicably. Because suppose the father says, I ain't dealing with this.
Yes.
You gotta put me in court. So now we back to square one.
Yes, and that could happen, and that's why then we're saying the government should give some provision to provide the funds, whether it be $75 in the 3 weeks time, or perhaps more. That's a consideration based on the needs of the child. We would know then, hey, look, while the father is delaying this matter or he doesn't have any funds,
the child is still being provided for.
The child is still being provided for. Because we recognize too that a lot of fathers here are not working. They're very much unemployed.
Interesting. You mentioned $75 a week, and some people are going to say $75 a week, $300 a month. What I gonna do? Like, if you have this, you don't have to pay bus fare if you use public transport. If you take these ZRs, you have to pay because the transport board, they now have a bus pass that allows the children to travel for free. But lunch, books, uniforms, just the general cost of feeding a child weekly, that's $300 gone in a week already.
Yes.
So you're asking mothers then to become semi-accountants and budget these pennies in order for them to stretch. You really think that $75 though? I mean, you said it's a start, but
but that really was the price that the court has set. If you go into the magistrate court, they will start it there.
Okay.
And if you go to high court, you find that for, say, access and custody, that sometimes the judge does give you more. It happens, when it comes to those type of matters. But of course, medicals and school fees, all of that is up to the discretion of a magistrate when the matter is in court.
Okay.
But out of court, we would say that the government, based on that child's situation, we could start there and then see how much more the child would actually need.
Okay. So since we're talking about children, we know that we are always hearing the population is declining and women are not don't let me say they're not procreating. They're not giving birth. What incentives would you implement to encourage women of childbearing age to consider having children?
Well, I can tell you, reduce the cost of living.
Aha.
Because if the cost of living is high, everybody's going to try to save every dollar as much as possible. So then the thought of having children would be far from their minds, because right now they will be just thinking about, how do I survive? How do I get through tomorrow?
One major complaint that Barbadians have from 2008 till now is the inability of the average Barbadian to access ownership of land or, house. So the BLP's manifesto promised 10,000 houses in 5 years. I think to date, they would have delivered approximately 1,300 houses. How do you plan on ensuring that owning a little piece of the rock is not so out of reach for the average Bajan?
Well, for sure, I can tell you that in looking at what the government had done, we really weren't too sure what happened to the whole project. And there are a lot of unanswered questions there. And for us, we want to ensure that we have like a plan for reverse mortgages. And I think that when it comes to housing, there's a lot of mismanagement, and people need to be reassured that look, if I put my name on a list, that I can come and be assured that the housing department is being managed almost perfectly, so that I don't have to wait too long. Yes, so that is one of the ideas. We love the rent to own idea also. I believe in that strongly, that rent to own is very good for Barbados too.
That's yeah, I agree. I think if people had to choose between putting themselves in debt fully,
Yes.
going for a mortgage, or renting to own, they would opt for rent to
Yes,
own.
yes,
Especially people who
exactly.
still are working for less than $3,000
Correct.
a month. The bank will tell you straight, well, you can't qualify in this day and age. Well, you probably qualify for a one-bedroom home,
Yes,
depending
yes.
on where it is going to be located. So rent to own is a viable option going forward.
Yes, I love it.
All right. So you stated that you would address the socioeconomic factors influencing crime by providing employment and skills development programs for at-risk youth and communities. Now, we know for a fact that this government in particular has done a lot to address at-risk youth.
Yeah.
We would have had lots of programs added to the skills training program, lots of programs added to SJPI. We have the youth development program, the Barbados Advanced Youth Corps. So it's not that nothing has been done.
Yeah.
What more can be done
for
the youth to deter them from going down the wrong path?
Yes. Well, for the youth, when it comes to youth, even youth and sports, we in Barbados, we haven't developed sports to that point where sports could become a business for the youth. So as you know, I went to the Garrison School and you run around the big Garrison, and if there could be an award for that, and we could make sports a business in this country, I believe that that will help the young people to not be so idle and being involved in gangs and crimes, and they would then fix their attention on something more positive.
You mentioned sports and turning it into a business, and we know that Barbados is filled with lots of talent.
Oh, yes.
And we have the National Sports Council. They have programs in the schools and the communities. However, as you just mentioned, it's not approached with a business module. So you may have a child who is very gifted and talented. We don't provide a nutritional plan for that child. We don't give that child a stipend for attending training camp, or we don't investigate or see what needs the child or the athlete in particular has. And then we take that particular child and put them on a national team. And then from a national team, they may go and play, let's say cricket. They play for Barbados, and then you hope they get called up for the West Indies team, and they are out of that. You get an injury.
True.
Career done.
Yes.
And everybody done with you. God. What happens? And I've seen that happen before. And you have nothing to fall back on because there was no plan in place for that particular, no roadmap.
Yes.
In place.
And they could even extend the activities too, because we here, we like the cricket, maybe basketball and netball, but there are so many global activities and sports that I believe Barbadians could benefit from outside of just, the
traditional.
Yes, outside of the traditional sports.
So then we need new policies.
Yes. So
moving
definitely.
Forward. Okay. All right. Restorative and retributive justice. Tell me about it. It's in your manifesto, big and bold. Tell me about. I'm not even going to ask you anything. Tell me about it.
I can tell you, right? I even came into politics because I believe strongly in justice. And when people hear justice, they hear about retribution and what's not. But for me, justice is a strong word. because justice really exemplifies to both me and you that it should include fairness. Because every time we hear the word justice, we think about fairness itself. And wherever you use those words, without going to all the details of the manifesto, you would understand that we are here saying to you, Barbados, that we are ensuring your rights. And as we are ensuring your rights, we are implementing a policy that acknowledges that there is a need for retributive justice.
No, you stated that you are all for the reintroduction of the death penalty. Now, the last execution took place in 1984.
Yes.
And we would have heard from the former Attorney General, nobody ain't ever getting hanged but here ever again.
Yes.
So I would like to know how you
I know.
gonna circumvent that. How? Because the reality is you talk about justice, you talk about fairness, and every single Barbadian needs to feel safe.
Yeah.
Crime is a constant issue. It's a topic something happens every single day.
Oh, yes.
Whether someone gets robbed, someone gets killed, or there's so many and we can't say that the police have not been doing their job.
Right.
We can say that maybe they need to be equipped or retrained.
Yes.
Some of them, or they need to be more members on the police force because the policemen they're tired.
That is true. And
they're overworked.
The resources.
Right? So apart from the death penalty to deter someone from committing a capital offense, apart from a $10,000 fine for sexual assault or something like that, what else can be done?
I mean, there's so much that can be done in crime, and I stick a pin right there when you were talking about capital punishment, because I would honestly love to do a number of surveys on that, because I know that in Barbados people have mixed emotions about it. But as the crime rise, then you know that some people do appreciate the idea. But of course, it's something that you have to consult the public about first to see where their minds are at. And I know that we are a God-fearing nation, so a lot of people are not ready to jump in and say, hey, let's kill somebody. We want to ensure that, of course, that things are implemented before you even get to that stage. And there are a lot of resources that can be used to help the police officers so that they can, quote unquote, catch the
criminals
perpetrators,
and execute their duties.
And execute their duties, or even to prevent the crime before it actually happens. And one of those things that we could start is to have like a mentorship. We seriously need better mentorship in the country. And I don't believe that it would just start with the government. From very young, as the Bible would say, bend the tree. But Bajans say that too. Bend the tree when it's young to avoid issues. But there are some growing trees right now that you have to deal with. So you have to continuously mentor them. And you have to ensure too that when these young men come out of prison, that you have something for them to do.
Yes.
Perhaps you can network with governments from overseas and see if you can provide an opportunity for them. Because some youngsters go in and they come out very young still, and then they feel as though they are just there in the open with nothing to do, or stigmatized that their life is over.
So then they venture back into the world of crime.
And we could rehabilitate even more, because I find that I've met people who have benefited from rehabilitation. So all of those things, and also offering better opportunities. We are in an AI world. We are in a digital time, modern time, where you shouldn't have to leave home to make money.
That's true.
You can make money online. So any person who's looking to be idle, they should know, well, you choose to be idle, but there are opportunities for you. If you want to go online and you could create some kind of software that can bring you millions, we are in that time. So we are no longer in any time where you have to just wait for a job to open. We should be creating these opportunities and showing our youngsters, empowering them to have other ideas.
So, what do you say to people who believe that you have all, let's say, for instance, we have all of these options for people not to turn to crime, but then we also have attorneys
Yes.
like yourself
Yes.
who may find loopholes in the law to get an accused of an offense that in reality he or she may be guilty of. So in 2018, we had
Yeah.
the CCJ overturn the mandatory death penalty, and they said that Barbados infringed on the constitutional rights of two individuals.
Yes.
So the law, I mean, yes, the law is here to
Yeah.
protect the innocent. It also like it here to protect the criminals too.
Yes. Yes.
So you know, what do you say to people like when
Yeah.
a lawyers
That's
just
an
get
interesting one.
when a lawyers just get off the criminals?
Yeah.
And that is why one of the reasons why we got so much crime. No, I'm not saying
Yeah.
with a lawyer, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
right? What do you say to people who think that?
But I love that because I always tell people this: a person has a right to representation.
Beautiful.
Number one. So even if they do a very harsh crime, the lawyer still can make the decision to say yes or no to that. Because some lawyers may say, well, hey, you just commit a serious terrorist act. So I don't want to represent you. But there will be some other attorney that would say, well, I know that you have a right by law to be innocent until you're proven guilty. So I would take up the matter. Then now, people don't really recognize that you can lose a case against a perpetrator based on a procedural basis. Because say, for example, the prosecutor cannot find a file or is a no case submission. Now, I'm not a practicing criminal lawyer, but I still remember my law. And there's a no case submission. Then, if you don't have sufficient evidence,
You have to dismiss
or
the case.
procedurally you have somebody in remand for a number of years, and they're just there, the case could be thrown out on a procedural basis, and completely not anything to do with the evidence. No case submission, the individual walks. So our justice system would need to be better so that then when it comes to a person sitting in jail for years and you don't have the evidence and all of that, if you have a good attorney, good criminal lawyer, that person will pull everything out the box.
Yeah.
And there goes a person that may be very well guilty of a crime.
Yeah. Wow. We're learning some stuff today. Thanks for that one-on-one lesson on law.
Yes, for sure.
No. You have given viewers, insight into Friends of Democracy. I want to know, how did you go about selecting some of your candidates?
Well, we actually have a candidate selection committee, and some of my team also, they would have reached out to candidates, and some candidates had also reached out to us when they saw our page on Instagram. They would send us a message and say, well, I like what you're doing. It seems different. And they want to know more about the party. And as you asked today, they want to know our ideology and what we stand for. And then they will come to the candidate selection committee, have an interview. We interview them. We have the requirements. And once they pass the requirements, then they would receive a notice stating that, hi, we are happy to have you on board.
What are the requirements?
Well, some of the requirements like police certificate of character, your usual CV, and a little background about you. So we will have an idea of who we're talking to before they actually come to the meeting.
Okay. What are some of the questions you asked them?
Well, we asked them, what made you, Stephanie, want to become a candidate? What is some of your
I was seeking high office.
Yes. What are some of your skills?
Honestly.
Yes, and we do ask political questions too, to just ensure that the persons that we bring in have integrity and not, just want to represent just for any monetary reasons, because some things that can cloud people's judgment. Yes, people see, other politicians out there just for the money or power. We want to know that, hey, you have integrity and that in this time, you would properly represent people and not just your name is called and yes, you won and we applaud you. And then we don't find you to the next 3-4 years.
The leader of the opposition, Ralph Torrance, said that if they are elected, they would declare their assets. Would the Friends of Democracy be willing to do the same?
Actually, one of my candidates was speaking, and he said, I would give up some of my money anytime I am elected and I become a politician. So it's not something far-fetched. I can't speak for everyone because, as a lawyer, I can't do the hearsay or
Correct,
just
yeah.
say it because it
Yeah.
sounds pretty, because people do that a lot. So you don't want to do that. I would say that I had a candidate before. I had a discussion with another candidate and myself, and they said, you know what? If we have to give up some of our salary to help Barbadians, we would do so.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's good. A lot of people think that you have been presenting your party as a viable opposition.
Yes.
And only the opposition. Y'all not ready to govern? Like, you are in an election.
Yes.
It's like you're canvassing to not to lose, but you're not ready
Yes.
you're not ready to take control.
Yes.
Tell me about the reasoning behind that.
Well, I like that question. And I would say, Stephanie, when December comes and you live overseas, you look at the climate and it's about to snow. But you know that when July is there, well, the sun is bright and the climate, this is time for summer shopping. So in the Friends of Democracy, in listening to the public, we know what climate we are in, and we sit down and we have the meaningful discussions and we recognize, well, look, we only have 12 candidates.
Yeah.
12 and not 30.
Yeah.
And we understand that we are only a 7-month-old party. So realistically, we know that, yes, somehow, at some point in time, depends on how the voting goes. With 12 candidates, there's still the possibility of us governing, depending on how the voting goes. But right now, as we have 12 candidates, some of them are still, young. We are listening to the Barbadians, and what they want now and what they agree to is, look, we want an opposition and a strong one, because there's a lot of criticism about the present opposition leader. And we know that the climate is, a lot of people still favor the Prime Minister and her party, and a lot of her members are still riding on her coattail. So we look at the season we're in and we're saying, hey, make us the opposition, because we will stand and keep the bees in check. And that is our slogan. We want to keep them in check. We want to make sure that there's accountability and transparency, and we want to ensure balance. Because we know that if one party holds power, then that's not true democracy.
Agreed.
So the climate we're in here now, Bajans are actually begging for
an opposition. And you're ready to be that opposition.
And we are ready to be that opposition.
Let me get a little bit cheeky here. In these 7 months, were you ever approached by any other party to join?
Well, this is the thing. People would come to me and say, you'll be really good in this party or that party. And I would say, well, you come to me too late. And to be honest, I'm a person that once I devote myself to something and I believe that this is where I am supposed to be, I'm going to stay there. Because in Barbados, I think the reason why there's so much voter apathy too is because people don't stand for one ideology. It's almost like it's so mixed, and if somebody gives you an offer on the other side, then
you just
for whatever reason, then you cross over. And I think that leads to a lot of the confusion with the constituency residents.
I think that is why people say all parties are the same.
That's why they're saying it, exactly. And I know people may have their own reasons. I try not to judge them, because everybody knows why they
made the decisions that they
made. And I mean, some people always believe, even in relationships, that the grass is green on the other side. But sometimes you get to the other side, and that's only when you realize
That it brown.
maybe it's not
Mhm.
green.
So you are in it for the long haul.
Yes, for sure.
You're not going to disappear after February 11th because we know that we
Yeah.
have third parties. You see them every
Yes.
election, and after the election is over, they disappear over the horizon.
Yes.
You
yes.
don't hear them speaking on national issues.
Yes.
You don't see them engaging members of the
Yes.
constituencies that they would have previously asked to support them.
Yeah.
So then once again, leading back to the voter apathy and the level of disgust
Yes.
that people actually have for politicians.
Yes.
We wouldn't want that to happen to Friends of Democracy.
Yes.
So again, I'm going to ask you, y'all in it for the long haul?
Well, I would say that we are, and I will hope that each of the candidates would too, because I like to speak on my behalf, very boldly. But I will also say that, look, right now we are building capacity, and I hope that Barbadians don't put the idea in people's head that it is fun to laugh at people when they lose, because sometimes that is actually what turns away people from pursuing goals in politics. The amount of backlash that you get from the public. I mean, you get backlash even when you're in it, right?
It is interesting that you said that, because only this morning on my blog, there was a comment that said, the individual told me, stop posting about these third parties. Barbados does not need a third party. My comment was, you rank out of place. Barbados needs anyone who is bold enough to step forward to advocate for the rights of the citizens.
Exactly, that's right.
And that's your constitutional right. I mean, that's your right as a Barbadian national. If that is something that you want to do,
correct,
you do it.
Exactly.
It takes courage. And that leads me to the next question.
But it's good to always do something good.
That too. You are now a public figure in the public domain. How do you deal with the scrutiny?
Yes. And I want to add to, before I go to that
That's
question,
fine.
that I do hope that the media too will still keep pushing, people who are in the political arena, even if they lose an election. Because sometimes you have a struggle in getting the coverage that you need. You may get a lot of coverage around the election time, but there are some bright sparks people out there who have great ideas that you just need to see it in the newspaper. You just need it shown on Barbados Today. So I want to encourage the media too to give people that exposure. So just as you're doing, that is a good deed that you are doing, a good act of faith, because you're saying, hey, this person has a voice and I have a good idea. So let me, showcase it.
Before you go to answering the question, I have another question before that question. Bear with me, according to the old people.
Yes.
Now, the Prime Minister often says that she practices politics of inclusion.
Yes.
Should she approach you?
I would think it would be a great idea, because you see, sometimes ideas don't always come from the people that they would think is the big time experts. Sometimes great ideas come from the youngsters, the young people. You never know who have an idea that can change a nation. So I would say don't exclude anyone like that. And you would be willing to work with government to take Barbados forward if given the opportunity? Yes, of course, because it's all about Barbados first. And as I was answering your question, I was thinking about it. How do I deal with, you said, the public scrutiny? Yes. I would say that if you're going to enter politics, develop you first. So because I developed me first, if someone throws a rock at me, it will hit me. But would it damage me? Well, physically, I feel like Iron Man right now while I'm in politics, because the amount of you and it's a balance. So you will get negativity and you will get positivity. So then, if you have bad apples and you have good apples, I choose to look more to the good apples and pull the encouragement. The good apples encourage me. The good words inspire me instead of thinking so much on the negativity. And also, I don't I don't just cast every negative word spoken aside too,
Mhm.
because sometimes the criticism would also help
To
to
build
build
you.
me. So you know how the saying goes. If someone throws stones at you, use those stones to build.
Building blocks, yes.
Exactly. So I think I have that mentality and I use that to push me forward. If they throw stones at me, they're just going to help me to continue to build.
That's a beautiful answer. Now, I know that you are a Christian. I see that in your character, the way you carry yourself, you hold firm to faith.
Yes.
How would you handle a situation where the interests of your constituents
Mhm.
conflicts with your personal beliefs?
What is the thing? In government, you understand that you have the rooftop over all kinds of people,
Mhm.
and it's not dictatorship either. So, as I would say, if they have a concern, I still have to listen to the concern of all residents.
Mhm.
I can't push my Christianity on them. And also, I believe that God gives everyone a choice. So they still have a choice to choose, do I want to be a Christian or not?
Mhm.
So it's not for me to push it on them, it's for me to exemplify myself enough to the point that they will say to themselves, I like how Karina carries herself and I want to use her as a role model. And then when it comes to their concerns, I have to take into account every person's concern, take it to the drawing board, and then see if it makes sense enough to develop a policy that will suit not only one person, but a number of individuals with the same concern.
My final task for you for during this interview. Now, I know nomination day is Tuesday.
Yes.
And then shortly after that, February 11th, we all go to the polling stations.
Oh,
You
yes.
are running in St. Philip West
Oh, yes.
against Kay McConney,
Yes.
against David Eswick, and Lynette Eastman.
Eastman, yes.
Also,
Yes.
all three have previous experience
Yes.
in the political arena.
Mhm.
I want you to look straight into the camera and you are speaking
Mhm.
to the constituents of St. Philip West
Yes.
and tell them why they should give you that X on that day.
Yes. Well, I love you, St. Philip West. Most of you would have seen me by now, and you would have been able to judge me by how I presented myself to you. And I did invite each and every one of you to Google me and check my background. And further to that, as a candidate, I am an attorney at law. And one of the things that I strongly believe is that you need groundbreaking legislation in this country. You need legislation that is going to change lives on a widespread scale for a number of people. You should be getting up tomorrow morning celebrating a piece of legislation that solves a social issue. And I also understand that in St. Philip West, based on the feedback, that you have been lacking true representation. True representation is not just about someone being just your friend or you being a bit familiar with them coming through a community. It's all about someone who's going to be a voice for you, who is going to check on you consistently. And if that individual is not going to walk to your front step, they should not forget you. There's nothing wrong with them sending you a card saying, hello today, or a voucher saying, I understand that it's Christmas and I want to bless you with this. Those are things that you need. You should not have to go and vote for anyone you have not seen within the last 7, 5, 4, 3 years. You need someone who's going to take your concerns seriously and who's going to also add value to the development of Barbados as a whole. And I have a lot to offer to you, so look out for my manifesto. I don't know if Stephanie's going to ask me what's in it, but I have good things and great initiatives for you. And those initiatives are to suit the elderly, the youth, The initiatives deal with the water issues, with the low pressure. I am going to look at your housing needs. I'm also going to be looking at the VAT policy. I can tell you, I'm going to look at road infrastructure. I understand what you're going through because I have canvas and walk my foot off, and I will continue to walk it off for you. My slogan is fighting for you, and I will continue to fight for you. St. Philip West and Barbados.
Well, there you have it. That's Karina Goodridge, the president of Friends of Democracy, the candidate representing that very same party in St. Philip West. I thank you for being my guest. And until
Thank you.
next time, you've been watching The Chase Files.